Hi, everybody. Whew, just made it, I think. Might be 12:02 or something. How's everybody's Wednesday going? We're outside today because it's such a beautiful day. Turn up the brightness, which means the delay of life quicker, blah, blah. Y'all know how it goes. So, what's up? I hope everybody enjoyed the video. That one was sort of a long time coming, but what is with this hat? I think it was worth the wait. It's one of those topics that I do not have the personal experience to be personally definitive in any way because I'm not in my 20s. So I had to do some more research on this one. Guess that's what it is. Have our coffee in a mason jar this morning. Cheers. Nobody's really here yet. I know what it is. I'm wearing the wrong hat. If you'll excuse me, I will be right back. She said to no one. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. I was wearing the wrong hat. So I'm still not sure if this is the right hat because this might be the one that got stuffed behind the table in the kitchen. No, that was this one. This is the old one. Let's see how misshapen it is. Ooh, my hair. Well, that's not so bad. But they're the same hat. Because one of them got lost and then it ended up under the table in the kitchen. I guess it was behind the table in the kitchen. So isn't that funny how stuff gets put places? Anyway, what up, Scott? I continued with Interstellar, where they were being tossed around by the humongous waves on the water planet, and then 23 years went by. It's very sunny where you are. Yes, it is. Definitely sunny here. Ooh, I don't think I've seen that movie. Is it good? 23 years? For you personally, was it a boring movie or was that in the story? That sounds like, man, I tell you what, I've been eyeball deep in storytelling theory lately, and then I'll see something, I'll be like, hey, wait a minute. Why would you do that way? Blah, 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 blah. I believe the last thing I was talking about was Dune. Not small potatoes. But we were watching something this morning. Jess of the Shire, I want to say, which I had no idea how insightful she was. All her video topics are Tolkien related, and love me some Tolkien and whatever, but I am writing my own book, so I'm not just all about talking about one specific other author. I'm trying to learn generally, and he just had this on, and she was comparing Tolkien and Herbert, Lord of the Rings and Dune. And, she made some comment. She alluded to something from the prequels of Dune, which I'm not actually 100% sure I was aware existed until this morning. But that that put the whole feudal Europe and space thing into this whole greater context that like all of a sudden made more sense. And like I know that people have been put off. I know I've spoken to people who were personally put off from that series of Dune by that whole concept of it literally just opens. You have these great feudal houses with spaceships, and it's like, the fuck is this? That's so lazy. What, this is sci-fi? What is, like, and they have a point. It did not bother me personally because I knew what I was in for, and I was like, whatever, let's get to the sandworms already. But because they'd seen the movie, and I think these were mainly older people I had spoken to who read it before any of the films came out, so they didn't really know what they were in for. They were just fresh, pure first impression of Dune, and they're like, what the fuck, castles in space? Who gives a fuck? Like castles on foreign planet, like often they get like, I don't know. They didn't. Apparently, the vibe hits hard. Upon fresh, but put in this context of no, this is a fallen civilization. With like and some of the background, like okay, but like you might have put that in the first book. You might have alluded to that in the first book. You might have, I don't know, put in an aside between a couple of secondary characters in reference to the old days before blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Dune is sci-fi fantasy, so yes, you'll have castles in space. No, I know. But it's like literally the feudal system, like social, society-wise, like kings and dukes and earls and all that shit. Like all that hoity-toity, bougie, medieval political shit, but with spaceships, right? And people are like, I do not care. I like, this is not what I go to sci-fi for. I've had this conversation more than once. Okay, I've heard this because long story short, I've grown up. Go like my parents were both geeks. Okay, so like I've we're talking groups of boomers sitting around talking about their favorite books. Okay, like, and this has been my experience. I've heard this said, okay? It's hearsay, admittedly, but this was, an impression that I was conscious of when I read this shit 20 years ago, right? When the Kyle MacLachlan movie was the movie, right? And I liked the new one, in case anyone cares. It's fun. I thought I did not realize they were going to split it where they did. I was like, wait, what? But where's the rest of this? What? Because I'm an idiot, I guess. The 84 version, right. The metaphor for human civilization. Thank you for the compliment on the hat, by the way. Tried to make it scientifically possible. It's possible, yes. 23 years went by the movie because of time dilation. Oh. Okay. That sucks. That's a scary concept, right? I lose track of time bad enough when everyone else is moving the same speed as me. Ugh. Dune is a very long story. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, like even just the first book isn't in the first of the new movies, and I thought they cut it in sort of a strange place. Or am I misremembering that book? That's possible. But like I just wasn't expecting that to be the end. I just remember being like, wait, that's not even like a cliffhanger. That's like yeah. Anyway, that was my impression. It's been a crazy year for me. I might be totally off base. But like as far as putting it into context and having this context not be in the first book of your series at all. I was sitting there and I was getting ready to get kind of aggravated about it, like, hey, wait a minute, wait. And then I realized that like I have done this exact thing pretty much. And like, again, not really on purpose, because I think this context was sort of filled in later by like his son, so he maybe didn't even intend, there's a reason it's not in the first book, right? As far as my story, there's a reason that the larger context isn't in the first book, which is that it just doesn't happen. It doesn't, the first one is all, I mean, it's not all set up, but it kind of is, the first of my three series, it's a series of three. It's all one story. And the first one is sort of setting up the dominoes, right? And then the second one is watching the dominoes fall over. And then the third one is what the fuck does it look like after that? You know, what have you got then? We're expecting to get up to 70 by Sunday. Nice. Nice. Yeah, no, the bit about his son finishing it for him. I looked that up this morning because my husband was talking about the prequels, and I was like, wait, what? Turns out a lot of those prequels came out after I read the first book. So I might be middle aged. Right? 10,000 years of history in the first book. Ooh, which one? Is that Dune? I'm talking about mine. I was talking about my book for a second there. Yeah, because I have a series of 3, which is all one story. So the first one, is that your left? Anyway, it doesn't matter. The first one is like setting up dominoes. And the second one is like respect the sandworms. That's the other thing. Is I literally just read the one novel like 20 years ago, and I understand that there is like this whole like political allegory and like, you know, possibly religious allegory going on there, and I don't really understand the finer points of it. There, I said it. And I do not have the time to educate myself on that right now. Fortunately, it's fiction, so you know. Um, yeah, and the second book of my series is watching all the dominoes fall. So it's kind of punchy, you know, boom, 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 boom. And then the third book, you know, which is what I am rewriting right now, is where you're just left kind of standing there going, now what? Right? Oh, and I wanted to show you, while I'm on the topic, I made a mood board. Because I am a nerd. Look, I made a mood board for writing. Fun times. It's like the Star Wars trilogy. I am actually not familiar enough to say anything about that, about the Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy, 4, 5, and 6. I do know that much. But like, I feel like the first movie, honestly, A New Hope stands on its own, like in a way that, like, not that my first novel won't stand on its own. Like, you could just read it by itself. But it's literally a cliffhanger where the character goes off to, like, essentially goes off to college. Like, why would you stop there? You know, like the victory is like there's a couple of minor victories, but like it's building to stuff, and it's obviously building to stuff. You know, by that point, you should have some kind of a momentum where you're like, okay, let's go out, let's do this. You know, that's if you're not interested in what picture the dominoes are making while you're watching them be laid out, what are you doing? Like, why are you there? You know, and that's my thinking of well, like writing the slow burn is you have to take for granted that your reader is going to be in it for the slow burn, right? You can't like be kicking yourself or like this pacing isn't interesting enough or fast enough or exciting enough. This isn't exciting enough. It is Victorian historical fiction set in the middle of nowhere. So, yeah, action packed is not what's going to be written on my dust jacket, and that's fine. Yes, it did. I saw it when it first came out at the end of my senior year of high school. Right, right, right. And everyone that's something amazing. That was an amazing experience, right? My mom saw that when it first came out, and everyone I've ever spoken to who saw it when it first came out was enthralled with it on its own, right? And that's why all the rest of that shit has grown from that one film, which does stand on its own. And frankly, I saw it pretty fresh, which I know is shocking for somebody born in the 80s. Like, how in the world did I go into A New Hope not already knowing the plot by heart, right? I'm stubborn like that. I don't know. You would like Port Townsend. It's a Victorian seaport town with lots of fun places to shop and eat. Oh boy. Yeah. Sounds nice. When I get out there, you'll have to take me to see it. Um, yeah. Uh, Where was I? Yeah, slow burn. Okay. But so yeah, hopefully, I don't think that my first book stands alone in the same way that the film A New Hope stands on its own. My book is conceived, to be fair, as the first of a series of three. That is the whole point of its existence. So hopefully, like I say, by the end of it, what up, Sarah? How you doing, girl? Hopefully by the end of the first book, there's enough of an undertow that you're being pulled along and you're like, all right, let's do book two. Let's see where we're going. Literally the character leaves home and goes to school. Like, not to give anything away, which I guess I just did, but oh well. It's not like that's a groundbreaking plot point, right? You grow up and go to school. Nah, right? This is not, that is not the exciting part. But like, hopefully by the time she's leaving, you as the reader are being, sort of carried along with her so that you want to read the second book and give a shit about that. Like, in the way that we're talking, comparing it to Star Wars, because Scott's made the comparison. I guess I'm disagreeing with you because I don't think my first book stands alone in the same way that A New Hope stands alone. But it's not meant to, you know. And he did a pretty decent job of building a trilogy off of that. But like, I'm pretty sure that it's not how he conceived that film originally. I'm pretty sure A New Hope was conceived as a standalone film, which is why it works so well that way. And I don't see a problem with that. And then, he spun it into a trilogy. Good for him. Good for him. He did all right with it, didn't he? We'll get you up a little higher and see if that's not a little more flattering on your jawline here. My goodness. There. The dogs are going crazy across the street. I don't know what's going on over there. How are you, Sarah? Is it anywhere near as sunny where you are as it is here? Writer question. I was curious when and where you are most inspired for your writing ideas and output. Like, is there a special place or where you tap into your creative energy? That's like a terrible question for me. I'm sorry. I wish I had a better answer for you. It's like more like something I try to escape because I have other stuff to do. I'm in North Carolina, so we're right. We're comfortable, warm, and sunny. Comparable, warm, and gorgeous, except that it's March. Right, there are no leaves on anything. No shade. Your property reminds me of the one my girlfriend and I went down to in Kachik. I'm not gonna say that. I will. Not, how do you? In Oregon. I hear Oregon is beautiful. I've never been, but everyone I've ever talked to says Oregon is beautiful, except the people are all nuts. Which, you can say that about anywhere. So, yeah. Southwest Oregon. So, by California. Okay. Okay. Right, like, it's probably comparable. Yeah. It's probably about the same latitude, too. So. Yeah, as far as place to tap into my creative energy, I know I need quiet. I know natural settings help me, like, okay, if I had to actually give some advice on that that's useful for anybody, I would say it's more about setting like your whole kind of mental house in order, so that you have a place to set this stuff, to actually look at it. If that makes any sense, if you think of your mind metaphorically as like a house, okay? What is your house set up around? Right? What do you like to do when you're in your house? Okay. What do you spend most of your time watching TV? Are you one of those people who has a big old television in the middle of the biggest room of your house or not? Are you one of those people who has a beautiful, gorgeous kitchen where, you see what I'm saying? Like, you can focus on the different aspects of your life and your mind and prioritize stuff like spending time in nature that makes you feel inspired, whether or not you sit down and scribble in your notebook right then and there. Is that making sense? I hope I'm making sense. Our TV is 45 inches, very small by today's standards. That is right. No, and okay, that makes sense. It's more about creating an environment where you are just the sort of person who writes about stuff, and like journaling. Journaling is massively helpful. Even if you're a fiction writer, because it's just this practice of like describing shit. And if it's your journal or your whatever, it's the shit that happened to you from your perspective. So what's somebody gonna say? You were described it wrong. It's a playground, right? It's like this totally safe playground where you can just practice that. The narrative thing. At least that's what I used it for. Some people just use their diaries to bitch, but like, I mean, yeah, obviously, but stress like suffocates my creative flow. Yeah, yeah. Making space for it and nurturing it through peace of mind. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're out here wandering around with me because it's nice and they can. Otherwise, they run off. There's nobody out here to babysit them. So yeah, it's more about creating, an internal and external environment where that's conducive to things flowing naturally. I would say there's no special recipe, of course. I don't know. That also reminds me of the video we were watching, Tolkien versus Herbert, Lord of the Rings versus Dune. This was such an interesting video. I really, Jess of the Shire, I'm going to have to check out her videos because I didn't realize like it was very interesting. It wasn't just, discussion of the literature. It's how, who the authors were a little bit and how their attitudes were reflected of their experiences and in their work and all of that stuff. It was very interesting. But so, she touched upon the idea that there are those out there who would, say, who seem to behave as if Tolkien didn't like something, then you shouldn't like something. She's like, well, you know what? Tolkien didn't like a lot of things. It's like that's very true. And that had been my comment. It's like, you know what? I think the only other series, the only other thing I've ever heard that Tolkien didn't just detest was the old thing his friend wrote. Like he and C.S. Lewis were friends. He didn't hate, that series, the Narnia, because they were friends. I don't, and that's not fair, right? So what up, Susie? Yeah, I was discussing this interesting topic of comparing Dune with Lord of the Rings that Jess of the Shire actually has this very interesting video on. I had no idea she was so insightful. Like that's the trouble with the algorithm. Like it can recommend stuff to you, but as I say, all her stuff is Tolkien related. So like I had no idea that she herself as a presenter was like so insightful, I'm like, I don't necessarily need to just sit and talk about Tolkien lore, like that's not I don't have time for that right now in my life. But like my other thought when she said this about how if Tolkien didn't like something, then you shouldn't like something, is I'm like, wait, to miss the point of creativity entirely. Of fantasy entirely, right? Yeah, sure. Let's go to a fantasy world so we can all follow the rules. What? That's crazy talk. That's absurd. That's so ridiculous. Like it circles back around to being, it's so cruel. It circles back around to being ridiculous. And I have met a few people who are black and white thinkers like that, and I think that's what it is. I think that's, you miss the point then, don't you? And you just invented D&D. Oh my god, you're right. Oh my god, you're right. So what do we make of this? Oh my goodness. What up, Xbox? Oh, Boom. Nice entrance there. But so some people are just preoccupied with black and white rule based thinking, is what all I was saying. So, like, oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for sitting through the ads. Thank you. It is just a little donation to the channel because every little bit helps. But yeah, fantasy world where we're all following the rules is D&D. Yeah, pretty much. And all I was gonna say was that like some people, certain temperaments just seem to be really, they just really sort of are, black and white thinkers who just really are rules based thinkers, right? And like they deserve fantasy worlds too, I guess. You never played D&D? Well, you're missing out, my friend. If you like movies and fantasy and stuff, my man. Oh, YouTube unsubscribed me from your channel, so I didn't even see your video. Oh no! That's weird. You resubscribed, I hope. I hope you like this video. It's been, like 3 weeks in the making, so it came together pretty well. I'm pretty happy with it. I didn't answer all the questions, obviously, because I don't think that anyone can answer all of those questions, but I also don't think this is, potentially the downfall of society. But it's definitely, issue. There's definitely some issues going on. Sounds like the GOP, very black and white thinking. It is okay. And this is scientifically, based, but I've, kind of always thought this. Where there's two essential temperaments, basically. There's like the conservative, sort of more look before you leap temperament, and then there's the leap before you look, the more adventurous, more, if you will, laissez-faire, kind of liberal-minded temperament, okay? Which is funny because intellectually, and in a lot of ways, I'm, and you're a mix of both. I think everyone is sort of a mix of both, but like you lean one way or the other a lot of the times. So it is, possible to sort of set this in a very sociological framework, or INTJ brethren and sisters, right? Right. Exactly. Some people are just sort of black and white rule based thinkers, and that's fine, and they deserve fantasy worlds too, right? Constantly getting unsubbed from GC channels. It's very weird. I wish I could say that sounded weird. I haven't noticed it happening to me, but I literally come here looking for that stuff half the time. You're ENFJ and ENFP. Is that possible? I know there's been like some updates to how that stuff works, and like frankly the way they've grafted it onto the 5-factor model aggravates me because like why can't you just be honest? But whatever. Why don't you label it differently then? Give it a different name instead of just telling people they're taking the Myers-Briggs test when they're not. It's a subtle difference, but it pisses me off. And then I have, yeah. But there's whole swathes of people out there who don't seem to understand that this is not the same thing. And the worst part is the 5-factor model is cool, and I would love to talk about it, but I can't even do that anymore because then people start bringing up ENFJ, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, no. That's great. And we can talk about that too, but this is different. Wouldn't you know it, there's a lot of overlap there because they're describing the same thing. But, yeah. I'm borderline between the two. Not many men are like this. Most ENFJs are women. Yeah, I guess most INFJs are women too. I don't know. Is it possible to change personality type? It is, isn't it? I don't understand any of these abbreviations feeling out of touch and old. Oh, it's the Myers-Briggs personality scale, for lack of a better term, that like is based on the ideas of Carl Jung, apparently. Extroverted versus introverted is the E or the I. Intuitive versus sensing is the N or the S for the second letter. Feeling versus thinking is the third letter. And then the fourth letter is, these are like supposed to be stacked the way your like psyche is functions, because it's young, right? It's had a lot of criticism. Yeah. Well, and personal evolution is possible, right? So like one might slide and not necessarily hop, right? Because one might evolve and not, jump too far. But such a thing is, I believe, possible even within the paradigm. And yeah, it has had a lot of criticism, but like, you know, what's ENFJ? Extroverted, intuitive, feeling, judging. I don't have a whole lot of knowledge on that particular type, but boy, howdy, if there isn't plenty of stuff out there. Just avoid the 16personalities.com or whatever it is, because we were just discussing, well, I was just ranting about how that is a different personality model sort of grafted onto Jung's theories and whatever. Like in Myers and Briggs, like there's this Myers-Briggs thing that's been around for decades, right? And then, some other social scientists came along and were also describing the same thing, the mind. And wouldn't you know it, they came up with a lot of similar things. So some genius came up with the idea of like, oh, we can just take this new information and stick it into this other thing, but it didn't quite fit because it's 5 factors. And you may have noticed there are only 4 letters. I think it's neuroticism, right? Is the one that Jung left out, which is a fun concept. It essentially means nervous, prone to nervousness and paranoia, right? They're like INFJs, except less awkward, less brainy. Oh, well, right. But like, I don't like one can infer that, but like, I do not. I've not actually read up. Like, there are a few of them I've actually read up on and would bother to tell you anything about, but I don't actually. I love how humans need to categorize everything. Fascinating. Okay, Spock, calm down. It's a method of understanding the world, You know, I also think that sometimes it can be a form of denial, you know. But then the uncategorizable is also a category unto itself. So, on the other hand, maybe we're just working with the natural function of the, substance. Who knows? Philosophers have been arguing over shit like that for eons. Have you guys ever looked into like some of the ancient Greek philosophers? Like some of that stuff gets so esoteric, and you're just like, they're like arguing about the nature of existence, like fuck God. They're like, yeah, God. But like, what is existence though? And you're like, in the way that like later theologians and stuff were preoccupied with, the nature of God and whatever. Um, and everything had to be funneled through that. But the older guys, they're just like, yeah, God and spirit and yeah, whatever. But like, how is this though? How literally is like this? You know, like that Peterson clip. What do you mean by is? What do you mean by how? What do you mean by this? It's like literally that granular to the point where you're like, this is great ancient literature. Oh my God. Like, ENFJs they make great besties for us. Yeah, are you INFJ? Yeah. Looks like it's high noon where you comfortable. Yep. It's 12:30. You got it. I just think I was never comfortable putting anything in a category. Maybe I see things as fluctuating. And I but again, it can't like it's like that old saying, refusing to make a decision is a decision, right? And I think sometimes, differentiation is differentiation the same as categorization? Aren't those already 2 categories we've drawn up just now? Like it's mind splitting, okay? It's truly. 9:36 a.m. here. Yep. West Coast. Time difference. You'll have that. Oh, we've got a couple more people. I want to show it off again. Look, I made a mood board for the book. I'm writing book 3 again. So I made a mood board because I have to like, I'm not scrapping the whole damn thing. I'm not. But like, what I had done was like kind of squish things together and shuffle them around a little bit in this way that I thought was better, and it's not. And then, like I've said before, I had a couple of key pieces fall into place, like, because I rushed to get it done, because goddamn, I just want to get this done. But like, I can't just so I had a couple of key things like come into better focus after I had actually written the whole thing, and then I tried to put it back together that way, and it fell apart. So it's so hard to explain the creative process, like mind objects, like, what is that? What is that? You want to talk about categorization? That's what that is the inevitability of like mind objects, because you have a mind and you have to use it. Right? So you inevitably end up using your imagination to kind of start to make sense of things and give them form just a little bit. And I think that might just be part and parcel to the human condition. I don't know. If only because, I mean, there's the ultimate categorization of me versus not me, which is a very healthy distinction, which again is distinction and categorization the same thing. I'm sort of going to use it that way for now. So that is the ultimate basic distinction that we all must make initially, is the distinction between me and not me, right? And that's like, we're always talking about narcissists and how much they suck. That's the distinction that they fail to make. That's the fundamental distinction that they so often fail to make, and they end up giving themselves away because they don't realize that, like, not everything is about you. But worse than that, not everyone feels like you do. I found out this morning that Xfinity tripled our upload speed. Ooh, that's fun. So like, I'm coming in extra sharp and bright with this crazy sunshine we got today. Trying to sit forward so you guys can actually see my face, because I cannot sit just out in the, like, the sun is beautiful and it's warm, but like, I can't have it in my eye. I need to be able to see later today, Excuse me. So yeah, mind objects and the creative process is, like I said, you have to have a space to like set those mental objects and kind of shuffle them around to play with them. Otherwise, and you have to give yourself permission to do that. I think that's something more people struggle with than you might think. It's literally just actually giving themselves permission to just play. Oh my God. You guys, I ran across the greatest idea, the greatest concept recently. Speaking of esoteric, philosophical weirdness, serious play, which I feel intuitively would know what that term means just by hearing it. And this fellow is talking about how that's what ritual is. And, he readily admits that there are other aspects of life that, would fall under this category. Speaking of categories, like, girlfriend, I have run into a couple of times recently where it has been useful to be able to have a term for something so that I can then categorize it by rejecting it. Okay. Like, sometimes these things are powerful tools. Cloudy and overcast here too. Oh. In 2019, the Lifetime movie My Mother's Killer Boyfriend, they show how a narcissist behaves, how they think. Honey, there's so much stuff out there that shows the way narcissists think. Because again, they fail to recognize that other people might not think that way. There's a guy on YouTube called HG Tutor. Yes. He's hilarious and sometimes terrifically boring. Like, again, He is one, and he admits that. So I think sometimes that manifests in like he will choose topics or like go on and on and on. Like he loves this. He has a lovely voice, but he clearly agrees with me in that assessment, right? So sometimes I haven't watched him for a while because he will just go, oh, he's a windbag, right? He is a lovely speaking voice, but he's a hell of a windbag sometimes. I'm like, baby, baby, you've had to downgrade her to that one's wife. Maybe no one else cares about her anymore. I'm just saying, like, what is with all the Meghan Markle content? Like, what the fuck? I don't know. I guess people must watch it. I do not, needless to say. But he has, got some insightful stuff out there too. Generally speaking about the subject. But it's just so funny to me how it manifests you know, in his work itself on the subject, which is just, sort of funny. On All My Children, David Hayward is a full blown narcissist. Yeah. Okay. I have not seen that, but I'll take your word for it. Like, again, there are many prominent characters and all sorts of stuff that, exemplify. And again, healthy narcissism, like this word has a total bad connotation. Healthy narcissism is like, I did a good job and I'm proud of that. And I want to show people. Like, that's healthy. Okay. Like, just the tiniest little bit of pride in a work, a hard day's work is a good thing. You know, feeling that you are important enough to like have an opinion and state it in a given situation. That's like healthy narcissism, right? Okay. Everyone needs that. It's when it, becomes like to the point where it fucks with your personal relationships. It messes up the way you talk with other people. My hat just will not sit straight on my head. Dylan Mulvaney comes to mind as unhealthy narcissist. Oh yeah. Right. It's the phrase "full blown narcissist" is, I think, pretty good. Actually, Scott said that just now about a character on All My Children because it's like this one character trait should not be your entire personality like any other, right? Your feeling of your importance in any given moment should not be your whole feeling, right? And I think that a healthy person can even put that feeling down and take it for granted enough to step away from it, right? Well, you're not preoccupied with whether or not you're important in this given moment. Yes, Dylan Mulvaney is most definitely a full-blown narcissist. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That guy's ill. Look at how skinny and jumpy he is. Look at how phony he is. Like, I shudder to think what happens when that facade comes down for a minute. And see, this is another thing I'm talking. You want to talk about things that are useful to categorize, like these behaviors, okay? Being able to label them so that you can look at them because they're real, right? Narcissistic behavior, destructive narcissistic behavior is a real thing. Okay. We've given it these labels so that we can then, try to look at it from just a little bit of a remove and see what the fuck that is, right? We've kind of turned it into a mental object, right? That we can then play with and kind of shuffle around. That's important and that can be very powerful. So that when you encounter a similar thing to this mental object, again, you can recognize it, right? Yes, he needs to be hauled off to a mental institution or site for psychiatric care. This is America. We don't do that. We don't do that here, do we? Oh, gosh. It's hot. Which, like, I'm not necessarily advocating for that, but, like, there literally is none. I'm not saying he needs to be hauled off, but, like, where? To where? Even if he were personally invested in such a thing, he would have to pay thousands of dollars to, like, and it would be a whole thing. I mean, for him at this point, that might be a career-ending move, but it depends on how you frame it. And he certainly wouldn't be going in for that, for like what he actually needs. Like that's so funny that the mentally ill, like basically they do. They expect the patient in a lot of circumstances, I think, not just in trans healthcare. At this point, you're like, as a patient, you're supposed to be your own advocate. Yeah, but at this point, like speaking for myself, I'm literally the only person who is fully cognizant of my my medical history. Because our doctors keep leaving town, so not to mention how many times I've moved state. So it's just not feasible. You kind of have to be your own caretaker in like pretty much every setting these days, right? I guess that's fairly standard. And like when it comes to medical stuff, when it comes to stuff that's outside of, you're there for someone's help. I'm not talking about the HOA, like a homeowners association, like in your daily life. That's not what I mean. But like if you need help, somebody should not then ask you how you want them to help you. The helpful way, make it better, make the hurting stop. I don't know. That's your job. It's important to take charge of your healthcare because no one else will. No, yeah, and you do need to be your own advocate in healthcare, and I've said that for years. On the other hand, there's advocating, and then there's fighting a futile battle against a monolith of garbage. That is completely the opposite of helpful sometimes. It's gotten to the point where the structure of the medical system, the bureaucracy, stops the professionals from properly helping people. It's stopping them from doing their jobs. How many times like the nurses and the doctors, the medical professionals literally have to say, we cannot help you. Because somehow we set all this stuff up, supposedly it's because Americans are litigious, right? So the insurance companies are all just trying to avoid getting sued. And yet, how do you think is going to happen if a doctor sees a patient without doing all this paperwork and going through all the rigmarole, or, I don't even know what all loopholes that they, have to jump over. Okay. God forbid you see somebody that's outside your network or whatever, right? What do you think the insurance company is going to do to them? Find them, fire them. But either way, it's like getting sued. I don't know. What up, Philological? How you doing? You're almost an hour late. You must be busy today. Oh, here, look. I made a mood board for my book that I'm working on today because I have to rewrite book 3. So I made a mood board because I'm a nerd. Do you like it? Mm-hmm. Not bad, not bad. Oh, the time shift. Oh, God. That's right. You guys do that over there, too. I'm so sorry. How dreadful. Pretty good, pretty good. It's nice and it's warm and sunny here. Looks almost like a forest there, yeah. I don't know what that. It's literally just like a. None of those. It's a mood board, okay. Like none of those pictures are specifically of any place or thing, specifically. It's more meant to be evocative, of the general mood that I'm trying to get for writing the thing, Whether or not this is the mood it gives you when you read it, your mileage may vary. Uh, I don't know. But I have to finish it before anyone will ever know that, right? Like, and I'm just starting to like really kick myself because it's been all these months, and I've been like doing holidays and we had a family trip and just trying to get my feet underneath me after all of that over the holidays. And now it's fucking March. And I wanted to get this done by the summer because then everybody's going to be home for 2 months. What are nearby parks? Right on. I mean, it may be for all I know, is what I'm saying. I did not look into that. I just picked it because trees, footpath, big old trees. You know, it's the general vibe I'm going for. But yeah, for those of you just joining, I was talking earlier about how I'm rewriting book 3. And it's like a trilogy, right? Where it's all one story. Book 1 is like kind of setting up the dominoes, and book 2 is the falling down, watching them all fall over. And so book 3, where I'm at right now, is where you're left is kind of what now? With what's left after that, right? That's the structure of it. It's not that I don't know what's. It's not that I don't know what I need to do. Oh, I do. Actually, it's been going better lately. Like that's what I was saying. Is it was just so slow. It was so slow because I'm like, no, I just did this. I finished it, but I didn't. But I didn't. Like it's the rough draft. I'm just gonna have to think of that as the rough draft. Everybody gets rough drafts, right? I've been doing this so long, I almost forgot about that. Like no joke. I was kicking myself so hard for so long. I'm like, why did I write this and then I have to rewrite it? Why did I do this to myself? It's okay to have rough drafts, right? Like back in 1998, I flew to the East Coast, losing 3 hours. Then 2 days later, they went to daylight savings time, where I'd lost a fourth hour. Ouch! How did that go for you? Was that rough? I wager it was. Oh, why is my nose dry? Tell me I'm coming down with a cold. Mm-mm-mm. Yes, it was. Yeah, I bet. Most of my travels have been north-south. So you don't really have that, you know? Yeah, I don't know. The more I say that, am I kissing my own ass here? Am I blowing smoke at my own ass here? Am I gaslighting myself? Am I making myself feel better for no like? The more I say it, though, the more I think about it. It's like, yeah, a rough draft. Like that's a reasonable idea. Is it just my connection, or is the stream halting and buffering for anyone else? That's a good question. I mean, I sat out here last week or a couple of weeks ago, and it was fine for everybody. I think back in 2006, my girlfriend and I flew out from Halifax, Nova Scotia, back home, gaining 4 hours, and then 2 hours later, we went back to standard time. So we gained a fight hour. You mean a flight hour? Bleh. That sucks. A fifth hour. Oh, that's wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I bet. Jet lag on top of jet lag. But so, ta ta ta. It's going better though, now that I've got my footing underneath, like, just every week seems to fly by, and it's like I have to shop, I have to cook, I have to do laundry, I have to, do this, that I have to do the video. I cannot lose track of what day it is. And weekends are family time and just da da da. So I just had to set aside a day for writing as writing day. Right now it's Friday. I'm thinking I might move that to Thursday because, or sort of have Thursday and Friday both be writing days, and like I want a day for being outside. I don't know. What up? Long time viewer from Germany. We're thinking about moving to the UK. She's a German citizen after dual citizenship from the US, France, and the US. What do you think? Uh, you're thinking of moving to the UK? I mean, from Germany? I have never been to either of those places, actually, material. So sorry, I had to go put my guess in for infrared camera turn on in the Namibian desert live camera stream. Girl, I have no idea what any of that is. Back in 1995, flew from Bangkok to JFK. Literally did a 180 turn around the planet. It's the most grueling time shift that you can do to your body. Ooh, nice. Like halfway around. Uh, if you're talking about as Apfalasha, Apfaltasha, if you are talking about moving to the US, that I might have an opinion on. I've lived here my whole life. Halfway around. That's epic, man. Yeah, y'all. You might have to move to the patio and sit in the shade. It's a beautiful live cam in the Namibia desert, and at sunset they go from color to infrared, and we have a bet as to that time. Ah, ah. Right on. I guess it's getting that time over there. That's crazy. They filmed the 2000 movie The Call, The Cell with Jennifer Lopez in Namibia. Dude, how do you just know stuff like that? Oh, I'm really sorry. So basically, this nonsense is also coming to Germany. And we both, me and my wife, think that we don't want our future children to be exposed to it. Yeah. Well, I don't know that the UK is any better. It's really everywhere, man. You know, you can see giraffes, hyenas, cheetahs, porcupines, etc. Live drinking from a water hole. It's quite beautiful. Wow, yeah. I read it and was curious about the unique desert scenery. Huh. If you have any idea where we could move to in the States, let me know as well. As I said, I'm also an American citizen originally from Florida. Hmm. Well, I mean, we're doing okay here. I mean, the stuff is around, but it's not as conservative as you would think here. But there's also this kind of undercurrent, like that feeling of like, yeah, this too will pass, whatever. You know, it'll depend on what you can afford. Boy, that's the truth. Here in the UK, your right to express gender critical views is legally protected. Oh, that's a good point. That's a good point. Here in the United States, no one has bothered to say any such thing, but they do have that whole Bill of Rights thing. How old were you when you left Florida? Did you go through school and learn about all that crap? Yeah. We had our primary election yesterday. People here voted for either Trump or Biden. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. My wife and I are both financially independent, so the question was just where we should move. Right, yeah, here, I mean, your mileage may vary, but like I want to say the southeast, you know, we are far enough from the ocean that we don't get the storms. It's geographically sound. It's conservative enough that everybody isn't all, whoa, the latest thing. But at the same time, like, there are trans kids in the schools. It is a conversation that is being had. Okay. And like, there's a big upswell of like Democrats around here. The national committee, the national organization completely ignores that and basically seems to have Tennessee written off as red forever, which is stupid. But like, if you're independently wealthy, then yeah, I would want to say the north, the southeast sort of area is like very affordable. At least it is at the moment. Property values are going up because secret is getting out. Frankly, you know, who wouldn't want a house on the side of a mountain where you can see a lake in the woods? For half the cost of what you pay for a ranch in the middle of Orange County. I was under the impression that Nashville is a pretty liberal place compared to the rest of Tennessee. Uh, it depends on what you mean by liberal, because you want to talk about some place with entrenched interests. Wow. Okay. Entrenched conservative. I mean, that's country music, son. Okay. What are you talking about? No. Now, if by liberal you mean we'll do anything for money, oh, yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, they're very performative over there, and they are probably doing a whole lot of liberal performative stuff because culturally that's selling right now. I've never been to Nashville either, but shit rolls downhill, you know what I mean? Okay, thanks for your opinion. Yes, I'm financially independent, but this kind of happened because I grew up in Europe and made some good decisions. Yeah, right on. Why? And you want to move back here because of cultural? Yeah. There's definitely a strong just undertow of just let me get on with it. Like the people who settled this place and the general overall culture is, they didn't come here to have somebody looking over their shoulder, and at the same time they're not here to do that for anyone else either, in a bad way. I don't know, it's weird. Never flown over Tennessee either. Well, it's amazing that you know that. Like, I mean, you can see it's beautiful behind me here. I'm not trying to tell everybody to move here, because if that happens, then, well, we're trying to buy a house someday. My mother is a white Jewish woman from France, and my dad is a military black guy. Oh, you have to connect somewhere to get to Nashville from here. Gotcha. That's a funny way of looking at it. I don't know if I would have thought of that. Process of elimination, sort of. Yeah, I also. I have to make a run to the little girls' room, and then we're going to go sit on the front porch because it is hot out here. Tennessee is far away from Washington. Boy, I know that. Yes, yes. There's at least one mountain range between here and there, right? You guys enjoy the view for a minute. I got to go use the facilities, and I will be right back. Then we're going to move to the patio because it's hot out here. Ooh, that sun is warm. you want to talk about weather and whatever, the sun is just warmer here because it's more direct, I swear. For real. No joke. Hang on a minute. Ooh. Okay. Ugh. Anybody still there? You guys still there? Hey, hey. Did I miss anything? You have a similar background as myself. My dad was Jewish. My mom is Bahamian. Grew up in the Bahamas, but also lived in the U.S. and the U.K. Right on. Okay. Just gonna pass through the house. I sit on the front porch. Because, our little garden patio is in a pretty sad shape after the winter, unfortunately. So, mainly the canopy. My cat had a cough and fit, had to go calm her down. Is she okay? Okay. Oh my God, the dog is out already. Get your butt in here, stupid. Did she go out the front door? I'm glad your cat's okay. That dog, I swear, is trying to get hurt. There. All nice and cozy. Back on our little ooh. You can see just what an absolute terror my hair is. Ooh. Maybe if I part it off to the side, it'll look better. What a nightmare. Hat hair or something terrible. I'm glad your cat's okay. Yeah. Um. What was I talking about, you guys? Oh yeah, I think I was starting to say that the writing is going quicker now that I have dedicated a day to it every week, give or take. Concerned that she may have a feline version of COPD. Mm, that's awful. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm never happy with it. It's either sticking up or it's too flat. So, uh, and yeah, so I guess after I get, when is my book coming out? Well, that's the thing is I have to finish it, don't I? Because simply for sanity's sake, and I'm not. If I lived alone, I would probably be doing the rewrites while I, you know, do the final draft of book 3. I would be rewriting book 1 while I was like I am in my head anyway. I have all the rewrite. I have so much stuff ready to go for the rewrites to book 1. To like add all the stuff in there that needs to be in there to add up to the thing I'm finishing now. You know what I'm saying? Because I started this project 2 years ago, so uh, I have all this stuff ready, but I simply don't have time to be doing all of that at once. So for my own sanity, I'm trying to finish. And I said this last year, and this was why I rushed through it because I wanted to get those damn rewrites done so I could get it out. Because no one will ever be able to give me any feedback. No one will ever get to read it if I don't finish it. Right? So it's coming out after I finish it. I wish I could. Checking for updates on my desktop. Right on. Bon voyage. Good luck. um, and of course I am dying to discuss all the stuff, the characters and plot and whatever. I'm love, dissecting the analysis, but like I'm dying for all that stuff. It's never gonna happen until I finish it. And it's been just a thank you, right? Keep on keeping on. That's right, one step at a time. Anyway, so like uh I've had to just dedicate a day a week to it, and it's picking up momentum such that I'm probably going to go and sketch out the next scene that I'm working on here after I get off here today, uh, because I'm sorry, Scott. Thank you for sticking with me, man. Yeah, I'm probably going to try and get that scene sketched out this afternoon because it has been rattling around in my head for several days and driving me crazy. And I'm happy with it because it accomplishes a couple of things that I wasn't sure how I was going to. I just sort of took two things I wasn't sure how I was going to do and stuck them together, and it worked. So I'm like, oh, well, great. There's an idea for a scene on completely the wrong day, and now I get to make a video. Because so help me, I was not going to let another week slip by me and not make the video about the political divide among the youths, because it is a good topic. And I had all the pieces. I just had to sit down and put them together. You know what I mean? Oh my gosh. I hope everybody enjoyed that one. I feel like it was a return to form, you know. But I wish I could have found what it was I was reading about. Like back in the day, there literally were some crotchety like newspaper editors, I think it was, like complaining about the proliferation of magazine subscriptions and how it was siphoning, off the reading public into smaller and smaller silos. course, they were pissed off that they, didn't have they'd lost their grip on the readership, obviously. But okay, bye. Doesn't working for you no matter how you jiggle things. Okay, bye. See you next time, man. No updates today, no old stuff to remove. Right on. Oh dang! I meant to tell Philological I ran across their videos in my research the other day, because I was legit looking at stuff about old medieval manuscripts, and it just organically came up in the search, and I was like, oh, I know them. Oh, that's funny. And now I've said that, and they're not here anymore. Doggone it. Oh well. I would think of that after he's gone. But yeah. So the writing is going better. It's picking up steam. Finally. Like, oh God, you're talking about the creative process, right? Like 2 years ago, this thing absolutely grabbed me by my hair and dragged me along for a year. Okay. I'm working and I'm focusing on, all this writing and all this plotting and all this stuff. Quiet on the Linux today, huh? Right on. All's quiet on the Linux front? Right on. Oh, thank you for the likes, you guys. That's awesome. Thank you. But eventually, that initial burst of inspiration has to fade out. Eventually. So then I had to finish the damn thing, and then I rushed finishing it, and then I took a couple of months off last summer and finished it for real in my head. So now I have to properly finish it. And oh my God, it's just taking forever. And like I say, I didn't exactly take time off for the holidays, but everybody was home. And like, I don't want to hermit myself. And, fuck up my relationships with my kids who are like growing and whatever to finish a book. Like, I'm not that person. I don't know. So I have to wait until everybody is not home, which does happen a fair amount of the time. But like, I can't spend all of my time doing it. The point is, I've kind of been waiting for it to grab me again because I know it will. You know how some projects are just like that. Once you get into them, you don't want to get back out. Like a pool, right? It's like getting into a pool. You don't necessarily want to get in it first because it's cold and whatever, and then you don't want to get back out again because now it's cold out there. Like, and it's just taken a while for it to really grab me, and I've been waiting for that to happen a little too passively. I think is what happened. I've not been putting in the work, Anyway. Because I could just scribble down all the shit that happens. But I want to do it right. That's why I'm doing it. That's like, that's why I'm doing the second draft. It's because I want to do it right. That's the whole fucking point. And now it's the middle of March and we're like 2 months away from summer vacation. And oh my God, I can't take summer off this year from writing. Oh, shit. That's the corner I've painted myself into. I'm just not going to be able to take all summer off from writing. Thank you. Yeah. We got us some chairs and a railing. You're actually sitting on the bench right now. I'm on the ground and you're on the bench because filming. Listen, I'm sitting here. If that stupid dog comes out that door, I will send her right back in there. Okay? Perhaps you can do a summer getaway up in Alaska. And first of all, we've been watching Northern Exposure, so I would be nervous to do that. Secondly, man, what? Maybe next year, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what kind of ship you think I'm running over here, but maybe would it look better the other way? I don't know. Let's give it a shot. Summer getaway up in Alaska. Man, if I go anywhere, I have to go to Chillingham, right? I have to go to England if I go anywhere because I'm trying to write this book, right? That's set in this place I've never been to. So, you know, I would be stuck trying to fix that. Woo! There we go. Blah, 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 blah. If I were going to go anywhere, I have to go to England. I sent a lot of people from BNA up to Alaska, booked their flights. Right on. That's what you do for a living, right? No wonder you think that way. Um, that's pretty cool. British North America, BNA. What's BNA? I'm sorry, I'm having a moment, apparently. I'm off in Bookland. And that's the trouble, like, in order to make it engrossing, you have to become engrossed. And, like, that's really hard to balance sometimes. Perhaps you can go down to the Chilean fjords. They have more glaciers than Alaska or Norway, and more fjords there. Right on. Oh, the Nashville airport. Right on. Okay. We're 45 minutes outside of Knoxville. So I have never been to Nashville. It's at the other end. Like we're over here and it's over here. So I've never been over there. I've never been to Nashville. I don't know. But yeah, that all sounds beautiful. And after my book is published and I've been to England and I'm a famous author, then I can go wherever I want. And that sounds beautiful. But like, work before you can play. You know what I mean? Knoxville's IATA code is TYS. Right on. That seems kind of random. You'd think there'd be a K in there somewhere. Or an X or something. I don't know. What do I know from airline codes? I don't know. No, my husband did a little bit of flight school back in the day. He wanted to be a pilot. But other than that, I'd have to ask, he knows some of that stuff. It's funny though because Tennessee has Knoxville and Nashville, right? And they don't start with the same letter, but they start with the same sound. From Ohio, which has Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, right? Which all don't have the same sound, but they all start with the same letter. Like it's the same confusion, and it's so funny to me. AITA is what travel agents and the airlines use. Right. Pilots use the ICAO codes, which are 4 letters rather than 3. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Still, TYS for Knoxville seems a bit strange. Seems a bit random. But you didn't come up with it, so like I don't know if you know if there's any explanation for that or not. Yeah, and like I'm just not even anywhere. At this point, I'm probably gonna be planning my trip with my goddamn advance for the novel. No, because the channel's picking up, right? Like that's, if I can be honest, my grand master plan here is hopefully I can get this thing off the ground. and fund my own project myself. Wouldn't that be nice? Uh, if you did like this week's video, maybe share it with somebody because so far the algorithm doesn't for whatever reason. I put out a short though, so we'll see. A couple of weeks ago, the funny thing happened where I released a video and it was underperforming, and I was like, whatever, let's toss out a short and see what that does. And the video did a whoop, which I was like, oh, that's fun. I guess, the obvious conclusion is that the short is getting a lot more views, and so people are clicking through to the video. That's not what was happening. If I looked to actually go and dig into the analytics, most of my views were coming through the feed. Okay. The algorithm responded, apparently, to my having put out a short by recommending the longer video to more people. So I did that again, and we'll see how that goes. But it's almost as if it's trying to trick you to just into putting out more shorts. Like, that's kind of weird. Incentivizing you to release more shorts by making you think that it's actually bringing traffic to your video when it's not. Because if you didn't look any deeper into it, you could just easily assume that. So BNA could be KBNA for the pilots. Yeah, maybe. I do not know. Yeah, I have a couple of ideas for next week's video. Does anybody have any thoughts as to what topic you'd like me to cover for next week in the video? The IATA. Nashville is PNA. For Barry Nashville Airport. Ah! Well, I guess if it has a name, you might as well use it. Yeah. Just so reasonable and stuff. My gosh. Sorry, I'm in sort of a silly mood, I guess. It's such a beautiful day. So, of course, the kid across the street, I don't know if you can hear him, is riding his fucking dirt bike. Because I'm not allowed to just sit out here and enjoy a sunny day. I have to listen to a goddamn 2-stroke gas engine. Right over there. And there's really nothing I can do about it. So, yeah. I guess that would be the downside of the whole live and let live mentality. Is like, I could call the cops, I could invoke the sound ordinance, and they probably won't do a damn thing about it. I mean, if only because there's a pervasive cultural attitude of like, I would be essentially a nosy bitch in the wider frame of things. Like, why am I poking my head in their business? It's like, but. And that's why, like, it's funny because in a lot of ways, I personally have like a conservative temperament. I am definitely for myself, like a look before I leave person most of the time. Like, literally, I have tested this out in the real world many times. Like, literally, I have chickened out of jumping off of high stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. But then I have a collective like approach to other people. I don't know. Where like I have no interest in jumping off that, but if your heart is set on it and you need my help to get up there, you might be able to talk me into helping you, and I'll watch, like, and I'll help you. Like, if you hurt yourself, like, I don't know. like we're all in this together. But like I'm not like, and I've said this. This is one of my favorites. Like if everyone in the world were like me, there would be no white people in North America because I would have been like, you're going where? You think there might be land out there, do you? Will you let me know about that, okay? I'm gonna stay here where the food is and the land is and then like everything is. Like, like I am not a colonist. Like that's not the adventurous like frontiers woman. Like no, mm-mm. Not out in the physical world anyway. When it comes to ideas, ideas don't scare me, and I've noticed that there are very few of them that like really bother me, just as themselves. And but sounds like you're thinking about doing a bungee jump. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because I know I wouldn't. I have no interest in that, and I know I have no interest in that. You know, nor do I have any interest in, for example, jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, unless it's going to have to be on fire before you're going to be jumping out of an airplane. Okay, like no, that seems bonkers to me. But like I say, on the other hand, the world just would not look like it does in some pretty key ways. Not all of them bad. You know, it all started in New Zealand. That's funny. A friend of mine went to New Zealand and she did. She went bungee jumping. But I think that kind of thing is cuckoo. I don't understand why people want to climb a mountain for fun. Like go hiking in the woods. Yeah, obviously that's beautiful. It's great. It's great exercise. Nature is wonderful. And needs to be treated with respect and learned about and experienced and all that stuff. Like I don't want to put my life in danger to do it. I don't see why that's I don't like not on purpose. Like, nature's a scary bitch. And if she's gonna get you, she's gonna get you. But at the same time, we don't have to be free climbing sheer rock faces. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of bonkers. You know? To me. To me. But it takes all sorts. Okay. Like but that's what I'm saying. It's funny to me because I have for myself a pretty conservative temperament in that way. Where, it's not that I won't try anything new, but I have to remind myself new things are good, like, and I've had to practice that. And it's funny because my husband is definitely sort of a leap before he looks kind of a person where he'll just find himself in the middle of stuff and then like, wait, what's happening? Like, and that might be what we would classify as more liberal temperament. But at the same time, when it actually comes to dealing with other people and like thinking about interpersonal relationships, like I'm pretty liberal and I don't expect other people to see things the way that I do. And I'm fine with that. One of my managers at work did a bungee jump in Nanaimo. Is that in New Zealand? Oh, it began at the Arrow River Bridge on the South Island. I've been to this bridge. Right on. I was shuttled around to many countries as a child, says Susie, and as an adult, I know like to stay put myself. Yeah. It's funny, and that way I guess I got the worst of both worlds because I got shuffled around to the same state, the same area a lot as a kid. So now I guess that's what like I want a firm foundation to like go interesting places and then come back. I don't like the idea of moving to a foreign country is like hideously intimidating to me. But I'd love to go there, as long as I get to come home again. Which, doesn't seem like that outrageous. That's no outrageous, right? That's up on the east coast of Vancouver Island. Oh, okay. Nanaimo is across the strait of Georgia from Vancouver. Okay. Okay. Gosh, am I unfamiliar with that area? Yeah, I really don't know that area at all. So. great views of the Coast Mountains. Nice. I have room for you and hubby in the Bahamas anytime. Oh, it's remote and isolated but peaceful. That sounds amazing, Susie. Thank you. Oh. I have no idea. Like I say, I have to go to England before I go anywhere. It just feels silly. I would feel so silly going anywhere else after all this trouble. You know. So, that's my eventual goal. Maybe later this year, probably next year, depending on how this goes. We are officially monetized now, and we're just kind of building up steam now. Still. I spent over 3 weeks in the UK back in fall of '98. Yeah, right. You were telling me a little bit about that, I think, last week or a couple weeks ago. Some of the cool places you went to over there. And I think we were discussing a little bit about, like, what if I brought the kids and, like, what are they all going to do? Like, I don't want to distract my whole family. Like, literally the only big trip we've ever taken out of the country to the edge of nowhere with nothing to do. Look, kids, trees! We have trees at home, Yeah, right, yeah. Loved Whitby. Right. You said is that the one in Wales that you said was super cute? Something like that. Like I say, I mean, really, I'd love to go anywhere. I'd just love to go anywhere. But, oh, Conwy in North Wales. Okay. Whitby, Conwy, doggone it. I'm trying. That's pretty close. All right. That's pretty close. Uh, I mean, on the other hand, it's kind of nice to have Conwy super cute. Yeah. I would love it. I'd love, it's just like, to me, it's really nice to actually have like this strong reason to have a specific place to go, if that makes any sense. Because it's easy to just kind of sit back and I'd love to go anywhere. But it's a lot easier to actually motivate yourself to get your act together to go to a specific place for a reason. So this might actually happen for me someday, as opposed to like, I'd love to go anywhere, and you never get anywhere. In Wales, you see both English and Welsh writing, and the newscasts are in Welsh. Right on. Yeah, I heard they revived the Welsh language, which is fan-fucking-tastic. Go to somewhere you can understand the accent, not Wales. Ha 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 ha. Hey. I have actually met a couple of Welsh people, and I have seen them on TV, and I have yet to encounter a Welsh person I could not understand. On the other hand, my destination is Northumberland, so I love how no one's warned me about them yet. Yes, traveling to another country most definitely takes a lot of planning. Right. On the other hand, as far as understanding the accent, I have like an ear for that, I think. Yeah. I don't seem to struggle with that as much as some other people might. I actually love the Welsh accent. It is charming. It is, isn't it? It is. It's got a coziness to it. I don't know. Yeah. Yes, Welsh is a very unique language. Didn't understand it at all. Sounded like no other language I've ever heard. See, that I would love. I would love that. To see it, in the flesh, as it were, and really get to hear them speak it. That would be so cool. That would be cool. It's a Celtic language, isn't it? Like, not even a Gaelic language, but like, or it's a different school than, like, it's not related to like Irish or Scots Gaelic, right? It's older than that, right? It's like related to Manx and like that sort of like extinct family of languages, basically. I did learn how to read the Welsh words for entrance and exit. You're right. Well, yeah, yeah. And they use the Latin alphabet, don't they? Sounds very similar to Celtic language spelling similar. Right. But like it's not Irish Gaelic and it's not Scots Gaelic, which are not as closely related as you'd think either. It's Brythonic. Right, not Gaelic, closest thing to the old Celtic language. Right. Yes, they use the Latin alphabet. Okay. Brythonic. I could not remember that word to save my life. That was thank you. That was uh, Irish Manx and Scottish Gaelic form the Goidelic languages. Well, Welsh, Cornish, and Cornish. Not Manx. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Cornish is what I was thinking of, and Breton are Brittonic. Cool. Thank you. Interesting. No, definitely not Irish or Scots Gaelic. Yeah. Goidelic languages. I legit have never encountered that word before though. Like Brythonic, that was the word I was searching for, and like, oh my gosh, words and names today. This is not a corner. Like, need to refresh this corner of my brain. You know what I'm saying? It's been a while since I was doing the ancient languages thing, but like, oh, it's funny. It's funny because like the book is set mostly in the 19th century, right? And the book is set mainly in the 19th century, and sometimes some of that stuff feels so old, you know, feels so antiquated. Especially since again, it's set like kind of in the middle of nowhere, so like these people, the way they live is not exactly cutting edge, right? So some of that stuff feels so old. And then we'll get to stuff like this where we're talking about ancient Celtic languages, and it's like, never mind. Never mind. The Victorian era is like yesterday compared to that shit. Never mind. Like, spreken Sie Welsh? No, I do not speak. Ich spreche eine kleine Deutsch, but I do not speak Welsh. Everyone is so smart here. I learn something new every time. I know, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. Wales is known for its male choir singers who are well renowned. Women love hearing them sing. Mm. Yeah, well, what woman doesn't love a good male singer? I mean, yeah, I'm sure there are some, but many women love a good male singer. Yes. And I guess the Welsh are like known for their musical talents. In sort of a similar way the Irish are, but I don't know. It's kind of sad because both sides of my mother's family are Welsh, and I really know very little of their cultural character. So these men definitely have wonderful voices. That's awesome. Do they sing in Welsh too? Now there's be an experience, huh? An entire choir singing in Welsh. Woo! I bet if I wanted to, I could look that up right now. Right? How cool is that? Uh, it's singing Welsh. Awesome. Awesome. I'm sorry. I'm such a nerd. It's been a while since I visited this corner. Like I said, last I looked at this was literally probably 20 years ago, and they were just really counting Welsh as like a revived language, like officially, I want to say. Gaelic, Gael, Celtic, and Glan. I'm not even gonna derive. Okay. Irish, Manx, and Scottish derive from Old Irish, which in turn is derived from Old Welsh. Oh, yikes. That's a lot of words, a lot of vowels in those words. Pirate or raider. So they're the Raider languages, is what you're saying? Too long, didn't read. Gaelic is just a much less ambiguous way of saying Gaelic. Right on. I picked up an audio cassette tape of male choir singing. Still have it today. Oh, you're right, because this was in 1998 that you were over there. That kid sure is loud. Yeah. It's a lot of noise for one kid. He's like 14 or something. He makes a whole lot of noise for one person, doesn't he? It's unbelievable. I didn't have a CD player back then. Has to get the cassette tape version. Ah, good times. Good times. Yeah. And the thing is, if I went over there and asked him to please maybe not do that right now, he would probably give me the finger and do it anyway. Oh, and here comes a truck. So who can control that, right? You're going to have to take my word for this, but that's literally just a pickup truck. Welcome to Tennessee. I don't know what else to say. They do love their big engines and shit around here. Oh my god. I didn't get my first CD player until Xmas '98 when my mom gave it to me. Something like that. Yeah, it was something like that for me. You want to talk about a corner of my mind I don't visit a whole lot. Like we have a lot of pickup trucks and SUVs here in Washington. Yeah. No, I mean I'm sure it's like this everywhere. I came very, very different, from a very urban area. I lived in very urban areas most of my life. So maybe it's just a contrast for me. Is a bit wild. Is what it is. I don't know. All right, you guys, we're down to our last 10 minutes. Like, for real, does anybody have any suggestions or requests for what to do for the video next week? What do you guys want to talk about? And today, 25 years later, I have dozens of 4K UHD movies. Yeah. Well, she didn't stop you, did she? Still there. But, again, you sound like somebody who really loves them some movies, though. Right? I like movies. But you sound like one of those people who likes movies, huh. I've definitely hung out with some film guys. You know what I mean? I get it. I've graduated. Ah, I see. Congratulations. From cassette tapes? Like everyone did, right? I don't know. I kind of miss them sometimes, I miss that you can repair them with Scotch tape. I was watching Interstellar earlier this morning. Right. In 4K UHD, I assume. Right. Were you the one who was saying you only have a 42-inch TV? That was you, wasn't it? So, sun just set in Namibia, and I lost the bet for infrared camera because I know everyone else was wondering. Oh, how far off were you? I still have a lot of cassette tapes, and my tape player still works. You could weigh in on Long Chew. Ooh, I'm going to have to look into that one. I haven't heard about that one yet. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Thinking of a topic. Yeah, thank you. Long Chew. Is it that guy who wrote that book? That name sounds familiar. The guy who wrote that book about how everyone is female or some junk like that. Yeah. God, what did he do now? Freedom of Sex article. Oh boy. Oh boy. See, the last time when that book Females came out or whatever it was, I covered that back when I had the blog, which was like 2 iterations ago of my personal media presence. 45-inch TV, can't fit a bigger one. Yes, I have 4K version of Interstellar. The wormhole sequence looks amazing. Dude. Wait. He won the Pulitzer? That's depressing. That prize used to mean something. For what? For his book about how everyone is female. You know, and I'm pretty sure, like, I can go back and reread that blog post. I'm pretty sure it amounted to me essentially saying, the fuck? Oh, no, wait. That's right. He completely contradicts, like, the whole basic idea of the trans movement itself. It is true that the female is the natural biological default. Right. But in order to have anything bother, worry about the concept of a default, you have to deviate from that. Not everyone is female. Sorry. We were talking about categorization earlier. There's one for you. That's one of my favorites. But his whole concept, his whole deal contradicts the idea of an innate, like, gender identity and, like, that whole, I forget exactly how it was. I had nailed it in the blog post. But, like, they're lauding him, as this TRA of, like, look at this brave and beautiful trans woman. And it's like, but listen to what he is saying. He's contradicting your whole bit. No, that's not accurate. We all start out with proto-junk of both. Some species reproduce by parthenogenesis, where the female doesn't need a male seed. Human beings are not one of them. Pulitzer means nothing now, or Jennifer Bilek would have won it, right? For investigative journalism or whatever, right? Oh my god. We default to female if Y doesn't work. Huh. No, we're not all naturally female. Right. No one's saying that. Not here, anyway. And, like, he was trying to argue, Long Chu was trying to argue that femaleness is essentially receptiveness. Which, again, it read like a philosophical diatribe from the Middle Ages, okay? Like, this guy had his head so far up his own ass, he thought his shit was spiritual, okay? And that itself shocked me. That anyone would be so shameless and be so just incredibly unself-aware as to put that shit in a book and have it published. And then that everyone around him was like, oh, fawning over this person. I'm like, what the fuck? Y'all have completely all lost the thread. This is insane. That was insane. The female can be very active in many situations, even among us humans. Right. And see, this is one of the reasons that I object to the whole, like, some things don't need to be gendered. Like, the concept of activeness is labeled as masculine. What the fuck is that shit? Gotta run, Susie. Okay. Thanks for hanging out with us. Oh, this has been a fun one. We're in the last few minutes anyway. Oh, which is good. Because, y'all, I need to get up off of the ground. That kind of intersex development is 1 in 10,000, so very rare. Intersex conditions with XY, right. But so, right, again, he was talking about something, right, yeah, we're almost done. He was talking about something closer to, like, femaleness as a philosophical concept that everyone can embody. But, like, femaleness is not a fucking philosophical concept, is it? Okay. Or if it is, it cannot be divorced entirely from the material reality that it springs from, right? Because we were talking about mind objects earlier, categorizations and labels and whatever, but, like, you can't just take the idea of female in your mind and divorce it entirely from the external world. Like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Right. Long Chi said that horrible. I'm not reading that out loud, but yes. He did say that. And that's what I'm talking about. Where, like, receptivity is femaleness, and, like, everyone can be, is receptive, and, like, blah, 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 blah. And it, like, really just sounded like his own self glorification of it and his internal womanhood while he was wanking. Like, seriously. And he's typing. Like, that was one handed typing. I swear to God. And it's so disgusting. This won a Pulitzer. I just, like, God. And, like, y'all can't tell me that people can't get hyped up on ideas like that. We all know that's not true, right? I guess the female can also be the default in spiritual planes. I guess. I don't know. But the idea that female is passive and active is masculine, what the how's this for passive for you? Fuck you. What the I cannot stand that shit. And it's been a long time since I initially had that reaction of, like, oh, feminine is passive and masculine is active. Like, what how confusing is that? For, like, an active minded female person, like, what the fuck do you make of that? Pulitzer Prize was not for gender stuff, I don't think. Okay, good. Females are not always receptive. They can be active too, and this applies to us too. Right, yeah. He wrote a book about the Velveteen, article about the Velveteen Rabbit. Oh, God. Ugh. The fuck he needs to be talking about kid stories for, anyway. But so philosophically, we have this concept so deeply ingrained in, like, religious and cultural thought of this dichotomy, yin and yang, right? And I'm just like, just fuck all of it. Just fuck all y'all. I'm so mad. I'm so over it. I'm just so tired of coming up against that. Like, literally, I think it was Buddhism, like Eastern Buddhism, like Japanese Buddhism, where I came across this idea again for the fourth or fifth time, looking at different comparative religions, and I was just like, you know what? Fuck this shit. And I flipped the table and just walked away. I'm like, I'm just fuck this. I'm not even gonna bother studying anymore comparatively. I'm not even gonna read any more of this shit. Y'all gonna all sit there and tell me I'm passive? Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. No. Like, I'm so tired. I'm sorry. I'm ranting so hard. This has been stewing in my mind for a long time. And this is basic, all the way back to the ancient times, philosophical underpinnings of, like, every damn thing. And it just, yeah, and it pops up every fucking where, and then all the way down to the modern stuff, like Andrea Long too, right? And you might almost call that modern spiritual philosophy in its own sick, twisted way. And we're still dealing with this idea that feminine is passive. Can we please come up with some other way to conceptualize this? I'm sort of stewing on that, more actively, ironically, all the time, because we've got to get past that. We can't. That's so stupid. We cannot. I'm sorry. There's got to be another way. There's got to be another. Like, yeah, okay. Let's conceptualize male and woman as opposites and see how the fuck that goes. Good job, guys. Good fucking job. What the why? Anyway, why? I'm sorry. And of course, men always come out with the better end of that deal, don't they? So I have a feeling, I have a suspicion as to who it was might have come up with this idea, and who it was might have set this system up. But, like, there's nothing. It must be really old, I guess, because, like, there's nothing I've never found. Like, is anyone more familiar with, like, ancient Western stuff? Like native peoples here in the Americas and stuff. Did they have the same like, they didn't write a whole lot of stuff down, so it's really a lot harder. And a lot of those cultures just aren't around anymore. So, maybe, I don't know. Yes, it's designed to benefit men at the expense of women. Right. Right. So I have no fucking truck, no patience with this basic fucking concept that is essential to every philosophy or religion I've ever come across at the end of the day. Hermeticism, Buddhism, everything has, at the end of the day, this basic concept of masculine as active and feminine as passive. And that's the point where I leave the room. How's this for you, being passive? Fuck you. I'm out. I'm done. They had a divine feminine too, but it was both passive and active. Okay. And see, in some ancient stories, you run across goddesses who are like that. Like, what is it, Kali? There are a couple of really prominent Indian goddesses who have like terrible aspects. Who like they're good and nurturing, like maternal deities a lot of the time, unless you piss them off, and then the rivers run with blood. And that's closer, right? Like it's, at least they would make room for the idea that women do stuff and are active, like protagonists in their own thing. Another ad interruption. Sorry, we've been on here for too long. Thank you for sitting through it. But I was just saying, I don't know if you missed it or just about how, I know that there are a couple of Indian deities, goddesses, who have terrible aspects where, they're lovely and nurturing a lot of the time, unless you really make them angry, and then they, just slaughter everybody, right? Which at least then, the female in the mythology gets to have the active role in her own damn story and determine the course of events, right? Agency, there it is. Yeah, women have been doing stuff for millennia, and yes, women hunted too, right? Yeah. Well, if it's about survival, then you want to put people where their skill set lies, right? Some women are good at that kind of thing. Are there as many of them as men who might be good at that kind of thing? Maybe not. I have no idea. But like, it's just simply not, again, not black and white like that, is it? But like, the fact that you just keep coming up with, I kept running up against the same idea. The feminine is passive, where the masculine is active. That leads down a whole rabbit hole of thought. It's all misogyny, all of it, all of it, all of it. From that one first basic thought, all the rest, everything else you build on that is going to be sexist. All of it, and just keeps. And they're like, no, passivity is a good thing. It's nurturing, like the soil. Fuck you. Fuck you. Maybe I don't want to lay here while you put your roots in me. Like maybe I just don't want to. Maybe that doesn't appeal to me. Okay. Even as a loving, nurturing human being, I have shit to do. Okay. Like that just never worked for me. So, and it's everywhere. It's not universal though, because it's not true. That's the other thing that gets to me, is if like female were inherently passive, y'all wouldn't have to keep fucking saying this, would you? Y'all wouldn't have to keep insisting on this, would you? And I just don't feel, why would I feel such, absolute rejection of this idea the bottom of my heart? Like, wait a minute. Who's passive now? What? Oh, Barbara Ehrenreich. See, I do know her. They turned her book Nickel and Dimed into a stage production that I worked the sound for one summer. That was about, being working class in the 90s. Jesus. Read Barbara Ehrenreich's article, The Real Truth About the Female Body. She shares all the old myths about it. Right on. Right on. See, I do love her. I'm not surprised. I have loved and enjoyed her work in the past. So she also wrote about the history of midwives. Ooh, cool. That's cool. So she's done the class stuff and she's moved in. You know what? I really do need to take in more of her work. God damn it. All the more reason I need to get off of here and go and sketch out the scene that I've been working on so I can finish my own book so I can read someone else's. I feel pretty silly picking up someone else's book. The one I've been working on for 2 years ain't done yet. Right? So it's after 2 o'clock. I'm gonna have to let you guys go and go have some lunch real quick and take a look at that. Okay. Um, Thank you so much for hanging with me. This has been a lot of fun. You guys always make it so much fun. Like we always do learn stuff. Okay, to be fair, that truck has a trailer behind it. Oh. All right, guys. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.